Welcome to Search Talk Live with search engine optimization and marketing expert Robert O'Haver, powered by the Robert Palmer family of companies.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of Search Talk Live. I'm your host, Robert O'Haver. Guys, I wanted to tell you a little story. We had a sad situation today. My co-host, Caleb Mcelveen, is no longer with us. Will not be doing the show with me anymore. We're still good friends, but he got a pretty lucrative offer and couldn't pass it up. But yeah, so he won't be with the show anymore. It's very sad for me. He's a really close friend of mine, and I wish him all the luck in the world. Those of you tuning in for the show the first time, I do want to. Oh, by the way, I want to go back. Please send Caleb a tweet. Tell him thank you for his contribution to the show and all that good stuff. If you want to ask him any questions, you can, or whatever. He's a great guy and is willing to help anyone. But anyway, those of you that first tuning into the show, we are a digital marketing podcast. We talk about everything to do with marketing online, digital, social media, content marketing, you name it, we cover it. And today we have another guest. It's his third appearance here. And he's one of the most listened to people on our show. So I guess that's why he keeps coming back. Not only that, he's a good friend. But today with us is Michael Stricker of SEMrush or SEMrush, depending on where you're at and how it's pronounced. But and today we're gonna talk about how to win the race with e-commerce. And Michael, how's it going?
Great, Robert. Thanks for that intro. I'm sorry to hear about Caleb because, he was such an integral part of your show. He'll be sorely missed, I'm sure. But, you guys had a nice back and forth patter. Yeah. And I'm glad you clarified because originally you said he wasn't with us anymore. And my heart stopped for a second.
Yeah, I didn't think about that for a second. Oops. Yeah, I didn't mean it that way. He's still with us physically. But
there you go.
Yeah. But those that haven't heard about you, Michael, or want to get an update, tell us about your history in the industry, what you're doing now, and what's your plans going forward.
Yeah. So I've kind of been at this for a little while, and I was surprised when I grew my beard in this season, and I realized how much gray hair there was in my beard. So look out. You got this old guy here on the show, but I've been fortunate enough to be part of some very nice agencies working on digital marketing for some time. I've worked with lots and lots of clients. So, and you mentioned SEMrush, my former employer, working on SEMrush, their US team. We built a marketing team for them, had to do a lot of content marketing, relationship marketing, working with their paid teams and starting to do marketing automation things for them, working with their CRM and all those integration kinds of things that lead to big success for a larger company. And that was great, and that was a lot of fun. And so that's where probably most people encountered me. I was out on the road, speaking at conferences and building relationships and talking to users, which was great fun. And if you encounter me in that situation, great, but I am no longer with SEMrush and haven't been for about a year now, working for some other agencies and companies in a consulting basis as my old company, MSDesign, which goes back some time, and it's just the name of the company. So was happy to work with the people that I did. Got some great results for them, which to me is really the fuel for my entire career, is to be able to say things like, oh, by the way, I took your e-commerce company that couldn't advertise because of its product, and I turned around your organic traffic and improved it 317% in 3 months. And, when I say that, it's like, oh, he's bragging, but everybody knows how good that feels, to fight the behemoth and kind of win. So that was what I was doing in the interim. And then I got invited through a friend, and you may know William Rock.
Yep.
Rock star, he likes to say. Good buddy, but he works for an agency by the name of BeyondROI. And I was more or less invited to, start conversing with them about what an opportunity that might be. And so that's where I am now and have been for a few weeks now. Joined their team. They have some really stellar talent from clear across the country. You may have heard of Ben Fisher. He's doing some social SMO and SMO kind of operations for them. Mm-hmm. William Rock is there. Other great guys. And SEO, SEM, lots of e-commerce, a broad variety of clients. And that's where I feel great because I can make a difference every day, which is what I think everybody wants in their career, and just have a little bit of edge time to do things like this, to get together with you and your audience.
Yeah, that's amazing. So everything's going great with you, huh? Happy,
yes. I'm happy in my life, my business. I'm looking forward to getting a vacation this summer, like a lot of people are, and we'll see where we go. Might be some kind of European thing, but looking forward.
So today we're going to talk about some e-commerce and why would you want to go hyper local or local with it?
Yeah, that's a big factor in it. So just starting with the big picture, like I often do, retail e-commerce sales data from the U.S. retail e-commerce database shows that year over year e-commerce sales grow somewhere north of 62%. Now, even though that huge growth happens year over year, what we end up with is the knowledge that e-commerce, as big as it is and as much as we focus on every single day, is only about 10% of all retail sales in the U.S. So, it kind of takes the wind out of your sails maybe a little bit to know that, but it's a good perspective to have. It is growing at a very fast rate. The great news is it will continue to grow. It's not going to seriously eat into the actual in-store sales so much, except when you start looking at the giants like Amazon and that kind of thing. And you say, yes, that's going to take a serious bite out of it. But even at that, 10% of all sales. So what you find out is people prefer to buy things locally. It's really, it's just something to handle, to see the merchandise, to try something on, whatever it is. So with that knowledge, e-commerce workers can look at that situation and say, well, I will manage my shop accordingly. But also Google is smart enough, and other search engines as well, Bing, smart enough to know that this is a factor. This is a feature of how Americans shop. And so, there's been a lot of concentration on building a kind of ad platform that best serves that preference, and this whole contextual awareness of where you are, all the context that has to do. Are you in your vehicle moving down a highway? Are you on a train? Are you on your usual commute route between where you live and where you work? Is it lunchtime? Are you out for something to eat? And all that contextual stuff all becomes part of your search history, and can be factored into other apps as well. But you can bet that Siri, Google Now, Cortana, all of these voice search applications out there know a whole great deal about you and where you are. And it's even gotten down to the granular level.
Yeah.
Like, I think you just had somebody talking about beacons and Bluetooth and all of that. And okay, so they know where in the store you are and they can deliver appropriate deals. That's awesome. Now I'm in my office using my smartphone, and it knows that when I cross my office and I sit down at my drum set, it knows that I want to use my music app. And so all I have to do is walk in that direction, and it makes a suggestion that, oh, maybe you want to do this. And that's the kind of predictive behavior that, advertisers are just loving and want to build into everything that they do because it suits users so well.
Yeah.
And it's going to get the clicks.
Absolutely. And we were predicting this, just kind of shooting this around, like when you were talking about voice, with like Google Home and that type of thing, how that could possibly turn into a paid model, where
yes,
that could easily happen.
Yep. And it's happening. And, especially with Alexa, Amazon's Alexa and Echo, the ability to build bots that will answer particular questions for people and help people find particular items and things. Maybe provide customer service for your brand that's available on Amazon. Those kinds of stubs are being built out by the hundreds because there's a tool for doing it. It's a great model. You're not part of the Amazon empire, but look, they built this way of plugging in your API and using this voice search mechanism that's out there that is so wildly popular. And now you can take advantage of it. So yes, your ads are going to start appearing in those channels. Questions about what a voice ad is going to be like. Yeah. It's not like a visual banner ad, but it could be a vocal banner ad. You asked about deliveries of frozen pizza, but you could get a fresh warm pizza delivered to your door. I don't know if I want to hear that. You
get an argument.
I'd probably buy it. Yeah, right.
No, I want Domino's.
Yeah, fun voice search. But anyway, so the point of all that in terms of today's interview is that lots of recognition from the people who want to monetize it, that people prefer to be local. Mobile usage dominates all computing connected usage in the U.S. and search. Besides that, at 56 or 57% or whatever it's grown to now, 56% of searches take place on people's mobile devices. So we're on the go. Even seated at our computers, we're still pulling out our phones and doing things on there. So you have to take advantage of this, and it would be insensible to behave otherwise. And yet, let's face it, a lot of e-coms, and maybe your own business, it may be businesses that you work for, struggle with keeping up with change. What's the pace of change? And especially, what should they be doing? Where should they be concentrating efforts? And so, do I need to, deepen my schema implementation, or how far do I have to go with social media? Because it is kind of getting to be a good, traffic delivery source, and all of that. Facebook advertising, shiny objects. But if there was one thing about any e-commerce domain that affects everything about the success of that domain, it turns out to be speed. It turns out to be, of course, there's all those advertising vehicles and channels and places and things to attract people in the first place. But when you have spent the money to get them there in the first place, how are you going to take advantage of that if your site is so slow that it's actually repelling people? So that's to me, that's a big factor. Now, I always look for data in things like Google Trends, and all I have to do is look at the number of search queries that include the names of major cities. Yeah. People would always search on names of major cities where they're thinking of moving there or traveling there or whatever. Well, intercity travel hasn't really grown that much, past 10 years. And yet searches for things like New York and Chicago and all are huge. And we're not just talking like month over month. We're talking about year over year growth. So it just keeps growing. People including their locations verbally in their searches is probably a minority of searches. The rest of the time, it's the search engine that's relying on its knowledge of context, your location, your geolocation, IP address, or whatever. That's how they're figuring out what results to serve you. So, and there's a kind of a generational thing, and we've got 78% of non-millennials using digital devices 2 and 3 times each shopping trip. So you're out in the store and you're showrooming and you're comparing prices and saying, maybe I should order this online or maybe I should go somewhere else. Well, people are on their mobile devices and they're in the store. And there's another opportunity that you can't miss. So,
that's where, when you were talking about speed, obviously speed should be number one in everything that has to be as far as for the mobile device needs to be spot on. In not just from a user experience, but heck, it improves rankings quite significantly.
Yeah, sure. That's all anybody can talk about anymore, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about the mobile first index.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about the mobile friendly algorithm update. Everybody talks about, all of these things that prove that Google is going to prefer mobile because you prefer mobile in the first place. All they're doing is reflecting what the public is doing. And so whenever Google says, hey, public, advertisers and webmasters, we're moving in this direction, I'm like, okay, orient yourself. We need to start moving in that direction. And usually they're pretty gentle as giants go. They kind of announce where they're going and you make adjustments, or you wake up and, they are still some time away from their mobile first index where they are planning to use the crawling and indexation from mobile sites in preference to desktop versions of sites.
Yeah.
That's not released yet. It may be tested various times and stuff, but they still maybe a few months away from taking that on in a big way. But if you're not getting ready for that now, then, you may be left out in the cold.
Another thing I think about this is it's kind of raising the bar when it comes to, instant gratification. So everybody else is fast. If you're slow and you're not delivering what they're looking for right away, you're losing them.
Yep, absolutely. It's goodbye. And that's the easiest decision that people can make. And, we talk about conversion rate optimization a lot. And let me give people an option to do this and an option to do that. Well, you can put people in decision lock with too many options. But the easiest option is, hey, I've been sitting here waiting for this page for a while and it's not showing up.
Yeah.
So that's their decision. They leave, and many of those people never return because they have now formed a brand impression that's negative. They have a slow site. They have errors. They have problems. That image never showed up. It's something that just requires focus, and that goes entirely across entire websites.
Mm-hmm.
So, we can talk about how things look basically, but how difficult is it for anybody? And whether it's your business and you're doing this, with your own smartphone, or you are part of a team and agency working with an e-com, and you get that, manager to sit with their phone and say, take a look at your product page and tell me what you see.
Yeah.
And aside from taking a while to show up, then they get the page finally, and they see the banner at the top of the page, and they see some lovely white space, and they see kind of the name of the product, and then they see some lovely white space, and down at the bottom is a little row of colored pixels. And what it is, it's a top of their product image, the top, and nothing else. You can't see, so you've searched, and maybe you arrived on their site, and maybe you even arrived on a product page, although you may have arrived on their homepage or someplace else, and you've managed to crawl through a few pages, and now what you're looking for isn't even visible. It's just it's not there. Yeah. So it's should be eye-opening that, like you said, it's offensive. It's people are investing their time. Your one time that you were able to get them to even consider coming looking, at your goods, at your site.
Yep.
Not even talking about price and the rest of it. You're sending them away. They're fleeing.
Yep.
pathetic. So, but how this works out local too, especially with regard to the Google way, if you will, the whole Google, they have this whole workflow worked out around their ads. So, if we look at this ecosystem that Google builds, we can say you need to be mobile first. You have to attack your speed, and it's not just desktop speed; it's mobile speed. So be aware that Google has a mobile friendliness and speed tester. Think with Google, and you can check your homepage or any URL that you care to put in there. And they're going to build out an API probably where you can look at multiple pages. But even if you just put a few key pages, homepage, category page, put in a product page, throw these pages in there and see what the results are. And it will tell you, oh, mobile friendliness, you're 98%. Hallelujah. Your stuff is going to work. It's going to fit in the viewport. It's going to rotate. The tap targets are all big enough. The type is of a readable size. But if it tells you your mobile speed is 45%, that means that the majority of sites are faster than yours.
Right.
In that particular category or whatever. That's not where you want to be, Yeah. So really, honestly, you need to be, and think of it as a grade. You need to be, if you want the A grade territory in Google on page 1, you're going to have grade A speed.
Absolutely. And
I just saw Eric Van Buskirk's friend of mine, his company Clickstream, and he was working with Neil Patel. You know who Neil Patel is.
Oh, yeah.
And he was doing data studies for him, and Neil's publishing these things. And so, big questions, thorny questions for people. How much does page speed affect your rank? How much of a factor is it? And so they used like 111,000 sites, pulled millions of results, ran the data, and the speed factor that had the highest correlation to your position, and it was very evident, had to do with being on page 1, being among those top 10 results, and then the correlation grew for the top 3 results. So if you wanted to be in those top 3 results, number 3, you had to be faster than number 4. Number 2, you had to be faster than number 3. And number 1, you had to be faster than number 2. And, that's not as clear a correlation as I'm drawing, but the correlation is there and it's evident to see after looking at all this big data.
Yeah.
And that had to do with time to first byte, right? So this isn't like how long it takes to serve up a bloated page with too many JavaScripts and CSS and the rest of it. This had to do with the simplest factors that have to do with your hosting, the accessibility of that server to the internet, how big your pipelines are, time to first byte, the first round trip, the request goes into the server and says, hey, I want to see this page, and they get back, okay, right? Yeah. Status 200 or whatever. Well, that is the single factor that has the highest correlation for your rank. And, honestly, people may say, oh, Stricker, he's always talking about organic search. And, that's all he does, Well,
it's in the blood.
Yeah, it's in the blood. And honestly, if you're in an e-com and you're not getting sufficient traffic from organic, then you are spending a lot of money on advertising, which, hey, if you're doing a good job in advertising, you're getting a return. You know what I mean? Yeah. Your costs are marginal and your revenues are greater, and okay, but you're still spending against every sale. Mm-hmm. Whereas with Google search, performing SEO is not free. We kind of say it's free, but it's not free. But in point of fact, once you do the things that are required to increase the speed of your e-commerce site, you're going to enjoy those benefits for ages to come. I mean, ages in the digital marketing world is months. So, do it, enjoy that benefit, because the traffic that comes from organic search in almost every case that I've ever seen for an e-com is where new visitors enter at a higher rate than any other method. Mm-hmm. And It's also often the highest quality visitors. They will visit more pages, they'll spend more time on each page, and then they will convert at a higher rate. Now, okay, you get into an attribution model, you can't definitively say what I'm saying because there's other factors. Well, maybe their original click was 2 months ago and it was on an ad or something like that. Well, okay, but within the last 30 days, this is high quality traffic and it's performing better than anything else. So that's why we're talking Google and search here.
Michael, we have to take a break real quick for our sponsor. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
Online PR is something every company should take advantage of because it creates buzz around your business. Press releases are a great way for your company to announce new product launches, company milestones, new partnerships, or even up-and-coming events. The hard part is knowing which press release distribution service to use that has an effective distribution at a price that fits your budget. Well, I have the answer. For as little as $39, PRUnderground.com guarantees your press releases to be on Google News, digitaljournal.com, social media outlets, and an additional 50 websites and blogs. PR Underground was ranked number 2 in user satisfaction out of all the other press release sites by G2 Crowd. This is one of the tools I recommend you add to your marketing tool belt for PR, marketing, and SEO at a price any company can afford. Go to PRUnderground.com. That's PRUnderground.com and send out your next press release. Enter the code SearchTalkLive and get 20% off your first press release. Also remember, Search Talk Live is sponsored by the Robert Palmer family of companies. You can visit robertpalmercompanies.com. There you can see the different companies that are available there. If you need a new mortgage on your home or you need a new mortgage, period, for your house, go to rpfunding.com. That's one of the Robert Palmer companies. You can get a great deal there. If you're refinancing, you don't have to pay any closing costs, which is pretty awesome. All right. It's pretty awesome. Yeah. So let me ask you this, and correct me if I'm wrong, Michael. A lot of e-commerce platforms are still kind of inundated or antiquated. I'm sorry. In a way that, with the way they're structured and the just the heaviness of the platform itself.
Well, there's all a mixed bag. Yeah, true.
Yeah. I mean, and also with let's say multiple products in different categories where they've got the duplicate content. I mean, obviously they're not going to get, there's a lot of things that need to be implemented, like the canonicals and that type of thing. But, or structuring the site in a way that, even if they're in different categories, they all lead to the same page, that type of thing.
Right. So, sure, you've got platforms. You've got 3D Cart, Volusion, BigCommerce, and, you can only push these platforms so far. But if you are fortunate enough to have done a good job and found a niche, found a market or product, and you've got customers, you're selling.
Yeah.
At some point, you might just say, I have reached the point where this platform, as convenient as it is for me, and it's an all-in-one, it's soup to nuts, it's the site and it's payment processing and it's the back end and it's taxes and it's shipping and it's awesome, easy, keep your staff small, all that. But if you're serious, and these platforms probably would hate me to say this, but at some point you would have to say, I need a serious e-com platform. I need to go beyond an all-in-one because I need better control. I need to really accelerate things. And even if you're already fortunate enough to be, you're smart, you're going it on your own, maybe you've got a good web dev and all the rest of it and a good hosting platform. If you're getting any pushback from your host and your web dev about what it takes to accelerate your site, you have to ask yourself some serious questions like, are these people going to be able to do this? Or is this resistance really a defensive posture by people who either aren't interested in taking my business to the next level, or, are they incapable of doing it in a profitable way and they're just kind of avoiding it? You know, it's sad, and I try not to upset the apple cart until people trust me better. But, you know, working with clients, you go in and you make changes and you do what you can. But if you find that, you know, from certain quarters, you're getting a lot of resistance to making necessary changes for indexation and crawlability and speed, then, you know, you may have to say, we need a plan. We need to plan months in advance because this could take a little time.
Yeah.
And with a plan in place, start shopping and making a transition. And, you know, the difference can be huge. You know, I mentioned like 17% earlier, and that is part of that whole thing. You know, just arriving on a faster host, server, more streamlined operation, and undoing, and let's face it too, undoing some of the cruft. You've got, you know, if you're on WordPress, you may have like, you know, add-on suffocation. You may just have so many conflicts from having so many add-ons and slowing your site and all the rest of it. Maybe it's time to seriously ditch WordPress. Oh, who would say that? What a terrible thing to say, you know? But, you know, having your own site and not requiring loading of additional add-ons and things to sap performance and speed could be the thing that sets you apart. And that's all anybody wants. Everybody wants it now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, I want to get some stuff out here. If you're okay with me, I'm going to dive into, you know, more of the commercial applications, because the description that I gave makes this about local commerce and maybe some advertising opportunities.
Sure. Go for it.
So okay. So mobile first, speed, Google Maps, right? You have to do well in Google Maps and Google My Business, because Google My Business is going to be the linchpin for this marketing ecosystem that Google has built for your local business, right? Now, you may not think your business is local, but if you're into franchises, each one of those franchises is local. If you have local brick stores, yes, those are all local. And you have to think seriously about how you would set this up, because, you know, if you had to have 60 or 70 Google My Business pages set up, it's a lot of operation and it's a lot of maintenance and overhead. However, you know, to miss out on that is, you know, it's deadly. When I think about all the department stores who had become such behemoths that it took them forever to begin to adopt this. All your big department store chains and stuff just couldn't change fast enough. So, you know, don't be the dinosaur if you don't have to be. Google Map ads, running ads on maps as people search for things. So people are looking for a pharmacy, and the ad pops up on the map, and it's an ad for sunglasses. They're on sale at that pharmacy. And you're like, well, that's kind of interesting. Look, it's a sunny day, right? Yeah. And they're running their ads, and then they have this filter that says, oh, in this kind of weather, show this kind of ad. In this kind of weather, show that kind of ad. If the person has a behavior or a site history, show that kind of ad. And we've noticed you've purchased these kinds of items before. Well, you know, all those on-site things that have to do with related products and suggestions based on past behavior and stuff, well, it's pushing out into, you know, ads now. And so, you know, make a toehold, Google Map ads, Google Shopping, which a lot of e-coms have learned to love. You get a good feed, you get it set up right, you get some visibility in there, and it's money. You know, you're going to show at the point when people are making a money search. Yeah. They're looking for a brand name, a manufacturer, maybe even a SKU number, and your stuff is going to show up, and they're going to click on it. And it has the image. But you can do that with both a map marker to show people where your store is and local inventory. So local inventory isn't for the faint of heart. You've got to signify that local store out of 60 or 70 or 80 of them has that product that person is looking for. And that's another kind of feed. Oh, now I got to set up another feed. But when they pull up that Google Shopping result, and yours is the only one there that says 10 in stock, what do you think people are going to click on?
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, it's just so convincing that if you had the opportunity and the technical wherewithal to do it, you definitely do it. So that's just some of the opportunities. You definitely want to start with Google My Business, though, because without it, you can't get the local SEO maps optimization. You can't necessarily do as good a job in knowledge graph panels.
Yep.
And you're not going to be able to enable the location extensions in AdWords. So even if you're just running text ads in AdWords, on mobile, the good mobile results are going to show up, if your site is fast and mobile friendly, and you're actually budgeting towards AdWords exposure for mobile devices, right? Mm-hmm. Then you want this ad to show up, and Google says, I love you. And they put those 3 ads or 4 ads now at the top of the mobile search results. You can't even see an organic result. So you're getting your money's worth, right? You're paying, and you're showing up. But it's going to show you 3 things in the ad. It's going to be directions, a click for directions to get to your store. Hallelujah. It's going to be a click for a phone number to call the store. I just wanted to confirm that you had it in my color or whatever. And finally, the website URL. If you are doing a mobile search, but still somehow you just prefer to buy it online. So in testing, these are the 3 things that people have found again and again that consumers want. They want to know how to get there. They want to know that it's in stock. They want to be able to make a call if they have questions. And they want to, the URL if they want to just check it out and they're a little timid or something, whatever. They can do all that. But so, the thing is, in a mobile first world, which it is, Google displays maps and shopping ads first, topmost, and foremost for product-related searches. So if you're looking for something to buy, that's what you're going to see. And if that's what people are going to see, that's where you need to be. So, there you go. I started out talking about organic search, and somehow I ended up.
But you're right. I mean, even if they're searching for the brand, because everybody else is bidding on the brand too. So, I mean, like regardless if you're number one on organic, when it comes to mobile, you need to have that paid presence as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. So, it's a balance. It's a balancing act. It doesn't take long for the ads to prove themselves as a revenue model. So within a week or two, you're showing that you're making more money than you're spending. And okay, let's do better, but at least you've proven it as a model and you can tune it up. But all of this, building around your website, getting some schema on your site about your name, address, phone, your hours, people want to know the hours, and having that on site is great. Having it in Google My Business is essential. And, these things are all going to add up. And if anybody listening has a problem with doing this kind of stuff, then Google has a whole program called Google Local Guides. Mm-hmm. And these are very smart people. So, if you have any issues with like verifying your Google My Business account, like I just don't know how to do it. And every time I look at my Google My Business, it says, oh, this hasn't been verified. Do you want to claim this business? But I don't know how to do that. Well, you've got people who will help you with that, and then take it a step further. They'll help you optimize that listing so it has more information that's useful to people. They can talk to you about getting reviews there, which Google's going to love and people are going to love. Shooting photos or adding videos, and some very, very smart people. I did a webinar with Tim Capper, Ben Fisher, William Brock, Karen Chin. These are very, very smart people who are Google local guides. And they are very helpful to businesses, whether it's just like, I just want to verify my business and then I'm going to take over, or you want to take it a step further. And if this help is available for free through Google, then, anybody who's running an e-com and on this radio program now, go away from the speaker and go make your call now. I'm just thinking,
but I mean, for free, I mean, it is a win-win. I mean, I can't tell you how many clients I get just off of Google My Business.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So, whatever the business, even in a case where it's business to business, if you've got an address or a place where you can entertain clients, people can walk in a door or something like that, do it. It's easier for merchants, but, even if it's a consulting business and you've got some place where people can walk in, definitely worth doing. And the results, go ahead.
No, what were you going to say? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so the results that we see when people go through this exercise is huge. So, we see when we provide hours of the business and the directions and the address and product availability, we see the results like conversions doubling after a local search when compared to non-local search. You know what I mean? So you orient your business and the information you provide to suit the customer. And, I don't know why we should be surprised, but it works.
It does. And another thing to kind of add urgency to getting it done is your competitors, and we talked about this at PubCon, was your competitors are going out and hijacking your listings. And
yes,
could possibly be taking your business. So,
Yep, there's a lot of not so subtle things that happen, horror stories where people would, if you didn't verify your account, the pizza shop down the street comes in and changes your phone number to theirs.
Right.
So you're wondering why your phone's not ringing, and you're losing 60% of the calls to the shop down the street. Reviews. Fake reviews. Google is part of an international organization fighting fake reviews because let's face it, you probably get emails in your email box offering, we'll create you 1,000 reviews. It's a business and it's a shame that it is. But why is it a business? It's a business because it's effective. It actually works. Whether it's on-site reviews in a trusted tool, e-coms have their site review tools on their sites, and there are some that are very trusted and can actually gain exposure for those reviews. In Google, results itself as snippets, Trustpilot, things like that. Awesome, right? Yeah. A little costly maybe, but awesome. But faking those reviews, or worse, faking negative reviews on somebody's Google My Business or Yelp account can be disastrous. And so in the end, you would look at that and say, well, Google My Business is free. I can go there and at least I have the opportunity to see the reviews when they go up, and I can sort of contest them or right. Not necessarily moderate them, but at least I can do something about it. And you need to be there. I mean, it's ridiculous. I go to see a doctor and get a checkup. I can't find, here's professionals, right?
Yeah.
I can't find the office. It's in a giant medical campus and there's 5 buildings, and you go there and the Google My Business is like, well, it's here at this address, but there's nothing else. And so I go to the dentist office and I go to this guy, and they're like, oh no, we don't do that kind of thing here. You got to go back there, try in the corner, and all that. And so, you go and you talk to the doctors in the office, or you talk to the office administrators, and you're like, Google My Business. Do you understand? And they just kind of look at you and they don't get it.
Deer in the headlights.
Yeah. But still, those same people, if they had to go out and look for something, they would probably be using these tools.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, So opportunity, what's the advantage? You mentioned competition. Most AdWords advertisers don't use location extensions.
Yeah, that's a huge mistake.
Right, there you go. There's your gap analysis. Move into the gap. Be that, first in user, if you can, in your area. And take advantage of the fact that even though most AdWords advertisers don't use the location extensions, 60% of mobile device owners have used location information in search ads. They've actually clicked and looked at the map and the rest of that. So meet what the majority of people are doing and do it in an advantageous way and beat the competition.
Yeah, stand out from the crowd. I mean, anything you can make to make your SERP or your paid spot look different than the others and stand out is going to improve your click-through rate.
Right. So use those extensions that make the most sense, for you. Carry the data that people are looking for. If it's your address, people are going to come by. Awesome. If you have a fleet of trucks on the road and they're all dispatched, like the locksmith thing or something, then fine. Maybe the address isn't so important, but you can bet the phone number is enormously important. Oh, yeah. So get that extensions. The hours, if you're 24 hours a day, yeah, absolutely. And then ratings. If you're given a spate of ads in your mobile and you're seeing 3 ads or 4 ads on a bigger screen, the ones with those nice little yellow stars, you're going to get the click. I mean, at one point it was like, oh, you have those and you're going to get like up to 20%, a greater share of the clicks that occur on that page. So definitely something you want to do.
And then for an e-com site, it's extremely important, especially nowadays to mark up your reviews with schema, your products, all that information, videos, all that stuff on an e-commerce site, because it really gives you a leg up.
Yes. So, I'm heartened to see that a lot of the cart tools or the catalog tools that present products on e-com sites now have the ability to have additional tabs. Okay, great. The content is still on the page. And a lot of them do have a review tab.
Right.
And you can as a user, you can go to the site and click on the tab. And if there's no reviews or whatever, it can say, oh, if you want to leave a review for this product, just, log in or whatever. Okay, cool. Make sure that, as you say, that the tool itself is going to apply the proper schema, that once you get like north of whatever it is, 35 reviews or whatever, it's going to make those reviews eligible to be used as snippets.
Right.
And that's not even the ratings part of it. Company ratings and stars is something else entirely. And yes, there's schema and ways of building search trust around that. So you don't want to miss those opportunities. Why? Because people, are looking locally. They are, when they're doing these kinds of local searches, they're going to buy it. They're going to buy it from you, or they're going to buy it from somebody else.
Right.
And you got to stack the cards in your favor, or you're going to miss out. So what else? We got some stats here in this one particular test that we ran.
What would you recommend? An e-commerce site that's struggling to be national, but is coming up more local than anything. What would your recommendation be for that?
Yeah, so there is the need in, say, you have a Google My Business. You don't want to set a national corporation's Google My Business to the local area. You don't want to set up a service area that's limited, because you're going to end up affecting your ability to show up in SERPs.
Right.
You're going to be limited. Don't do that unless you're going to do that at the franchise level and you're doing lots of Google My Business pages, whether they're going to be in a single account, because then you can cover lots of service areas or whatever. So that's just one thing to kind of avoid. But if you're showing up for the local, if you're showing up for local searches, but you're a national level business, you have to think about, one, if it's your ads, you may have to bid up other metros. You may have to, start paying to appear in these other areas. And if you find that you have more than adequate business locally, then you can bid down, your own local appearances. With regard to the organic side of things, then you just, as much as possible, want to make it clear, and there's schema for everything, right? Mm-hmm. So there's corporate or company level schema has to do with, your service level or your distribution area. And in Google My Business, there is type of business and setting your area. So if you set your area, if you're a contractor, if you're a restaurant, if you're a particular kind of business that looks local, then that's another matter, right? Yeah. Then you're saying, well, if you're a contractor, I know that people prefer to use contractors locally. They're going to want to see a local address and a local business, but maybe you're a contractor that has multiple franchises or, installations across the country sending, crews out. You have to make that evident. Yeah. And you have to have, you can't just say, I'm going to take my page for About Us, and now I'm going to create an About Us New Jersey and an About Us Florida page, and they're all going to be the same, and I'm just going to change the address, and that's not going to work. Right? And you're laughing, but, people do this, and, I remember, I just remember going through this with somebody. You have a Panda problem, and you've built out all these useless pages. I think in their case, it was like 363 location pages. Oh my God. Are virtually the same, right? Well, yeah. So, you need a questionnaire. You got to go back to the local manager. I need photos of your shop. I need customer reviews from the location. I need to know where people can park. I want to know what highways and landmarks and things are nearby. So I can build this into the page and make a useful page if it's ever going to rank organically. And once I do that, and I make that page crawlable and accessible and there's good value on it, then it's going to start ranking in other locations. So that's a more or less organic approach. Your Google My Business should do that. Your Facebook, your Twitter, all these are profiles that can be very geocentric. You can put your addresses in there. So you may have multiple Facebooks. Well, it's a maintenance issue, keeping them all up, but you may have to put that address in there, and that will rank as well. So in other locations than the place that you're talking about, you can have multiple results showing up, and you will own more of that search engine result page, therefore. And that's really ultimately where you want to get, right? Gee, if the business owns every, one of 9 out of 10 pages in Google search in Kansas City and in Bloomington, Indiana, great. That's awesome. So those are just some ideas. I mean, it's not really specific, but
no, I think it's well said.
Yeah. Cool. So,
see, we're getting we got like 7 minutes, 2 minutes of talk time. So,
okay. What we got any questions from anybody? I'm just looking here.
I don't have any on Twitter. Let's see. Nothing.
Currently listening. I see Keith Good. Let's see. Check out. So Keith Good is listening in. He promised me a question, but I'm not sure how it would have arrived here. So let's see under notifications.
No pressure with a last name like that, huh?
Johnny B. Good. Currently listening. Not seeing anything specific. I see tears. Somebody's crying over Caleb.
Oh, yeah.
Well, no specific questions here. So,
anything else you want to cover? Or?
Yeah. So, winning the world one location at a time, making sure it's the usual things, your citations, your name, address, phone, your hours, directions, your URL. Reviewers should cite their own name and address if possible to make that more credible. Google My Business. You can do it yourself or get help from local guides. Google Knowledge Graph panels of any kind. If you know that your business is is the keywords for your business may produce certain rich snippets in search. And if that shows up frequently for your keywords, like recipes or things, whatever, know what they are and do what you can to populate those knowledge graph panels in search. It's a whole other piece of real estate. And if you haven't attempted to get in there, there's lots of guidance about, how to do that. On-site local expertise, authority, trustworthiness, being considerate of shoppers' time. We talk about how important driving directions, major highways and thoroughfares, where to park. And, ultimately, we're all animals. I'm an animal. You're an animal. We're all animals. We have to have places to relax. We have to have places to eat. Eating and shopping go together. Everybody in the tourism industry knows this. People want to shop and people want to eat. Absolutely. That's like the majority of what people do. Go clear across the country, go around the world, go to Rome. You're going to want to shop and you're going to want to eat. So thinking about those kinds of local links, now you've got a relationship with local businesses and a reason for them to build a link back to you. If you're a merchant, but there's eating establishments nearby, hey, I think that you can probably work something out and no money needs to change hands.
Yeah. Well, Mike, I want to thank you for being on the show. It has been a pleasure as usual. This is your third time and one of the top dogs as far as listenership.
Cool. Thanks. And I appreciate being here. And, it's always a good time. You have a great sense of humor and just love being on your show.
Thank you. And I appreciate all the support you've given the show. I see you tweeting all the time stuff about the show, and we really appreciate it.
Cool. It's worth it. Definitely.
Right. Thank you. Guys, I want to thank you again for listening to the show. Back to Caleb, I want to wish you the very best in your endeavors going forward. I want to thank you for the time you spent on the show, and we really appreciate it. Tune in next week, guys. We have, who do we have? My buddy, Keith Good, is going to be on the show next week. I met him at PubCon last week. He's awesome. Great speaker. He spoke at the conference and actually learned some stuff from him. I've been in the industry a long time, and when I went there, I thought, hey, I'm not going to learn much. But surprise, I learned quite a bit. It was just a great experience all the way around. Also, make sure to go to searchtalklive.com, listen to previous episodes of the show, sign up the newsletter, and if you listen to us on Spreaker, sorry, I keep pronouncing that wrong, go to Spreaker and sign up there and follow us, and pound the like button if you're there. So, yeah, thanks again for listening to the show. If you have any interest in possibly being a co-host on Search Talk Live, we are currently looking for a new host. If you want to send me an email, you can do that, Robert at Search Talk Live. It's you'd have to be available on Tuesdays from 3 to 4:30. If that's something you might be interested in, or even just being a guest on the show. We are booked until June, mid-June right now, but we are not going anywhere. We're just going to get a new guest and bring more to the show. But again, thanks again for listening. And how much time we got, David? 2 minutes? Okay. Also, follow us on Twitter. Go to @searchtalklive.com. I'm sorry, @searchtalklive. And then go to, if you want to follow me, I'm at Robert O'Haver. Like I said, next week we have Mr. Good on the show. He is going to bring in some great insights. I am excited about that show. If you missed previous episodes, like I said, you can go to Spreaker, or you can go listen to us on iTunes. You can go to iHeartRadio. If you're in the U.S., you can listen to us 24/7 on iHeartRadio. And let's see, a Play Store. We're also there. We're in many, many places. I can't name them all. But yeah, thanks again, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Search Talk Live is a presentation of the Robert Palmer family of company.